question mark. A new government move could be paving the way for charges on high-value digital payments. We'll separate the facts from the speculation for you right here on In Your Interest. And finally, why has the government cracked down on advertisements for popular weight loss drugs? As GLP-1 medicines go viral online, social media hype and trends, where should the line be drawn between awareness and marketing? 3 stories that could affect your wallet, your commute, and your health. You're watching In Your Interest with me, Kabir Naqvi. First, the top headlines. In a first briefing to the public since her ouster, Sheikh Hasina says she has watched her beloved Bangladesh suffer over the past 2.5 years. She alleges that the 2024 unrest was a meticulously designed movement and not merely a spontaneous student protest. She also claimed that the movement was organized to create a quote-unquote path to power outside the ballot box. Another major development today. Meta chief Mark Zuckerberg apologized over child sexual abuse, deepfake content and errors in operating the platform. Apology comes just hours after Centre's ultimatum to the Meta CEO. Centre mulls special parliament session from the 16th to the 18th of August to take up delimitation and women reservation. Congress says it will consult the party leadership and other opposition parties before conveying its decision. Meanwhile, the Jharkhand government invites agitating students for talks. Students asked to nominate a 5-member delegation for formal discussions with the government. Imagine driving to your nearest petrol pump, pulling up to refill your tank and being told, sorry, no fuel, your vehicle insurance has expired. It may sound extreme today, but that is exactly the kind of road safety reform the Supreme Court now wants the government to seriously examine and take into their cognizance. In a significant order, the Apex Court has asked the Centre and the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority, the IRDA, of the country to prepare a pilot project that could link fuel supply to a vehicle's valid third-party insurance. And the backdrop for all of this that happened in the Apex Court today is staggering as well. According to the figures placed before the court today, 16.54 crore vehicles on Indian roads are currently uninsured. That's nearly 56% of all the registered vehicles in our country. And the court says this is not merely an insurance problem. It is a road safety issue. Because when an uninsured vehicle is involved in an accident, let's say, the biggest sufferers are often the victims and their families, who are forced into years of litigation simply to receive compensation. And the Supreme Court has therefore proposed a technology-driven compliance model. We'll come to that in just a quick bit. Automatic number plate recognition cameras, the ANPR cameras, real-time verification through the Vahan database and handheld devices and applications for the police. We're talking about automatic e-challans over here as well. And perhaps the most debated recommendation of them all, no valid insurance, you get no fuel for it. This is also going to help identify the violators But is it feasible? Is it doable out there on the road? The court has also strengthened the insurance framework itself, as it were. Take a look at this. The mandatory third-party insurance for new cars will now increase from 3 years to 4 years. And for new two-wheelers from 5 years to 6 years. That's the increase. Now, supporters say this could dramatically improve compliance, reduce uninsured vehicles on the roads and protect the accident victims out there. But critics, on the other hand, are asking some real difficult questions as well. Will petrol pumps become enforcement agencies now? I mean, you're going there to get your tanks filled up, not for a legal check. Can such a system really work across our country? What about technical glitches? What about fake policies? What about the rural areas in implementation and genuine consumers caught in the crossfire? Is this bold reform that India actually needs, or a policy that could create more inconvenience than actual compliance on the road? So tonight, we decode what the Supreme Court has proposed, how this pilot project could work if it were to be implemented, whether it is legally and practically feasible, and most importantly, will no insurance, no fuel make India's roads safer or simply make life tougher for millions of motorists out there? Let's get straight into it. Anurag Kulshrestha, founder and president, Tracks Road Safety NGO, with us on the broadcast, and Mr. Tutu Dhawan, the man needs no introduction, automobile expert, with us on the broadcast as well. Many thanks. Mr. Dhawan, let's get the snowball rolling here. Can India realistically implement this no insurance, no fuel system, or do you think this isn't a good idea, this is a good idea, but it won't work on the ground? Simply enforcement and compliance will become two tools that is going to make way for more inconvenience than actual compliance. What's your opening submission here, sir?
It may be a good idea, but I don't think this is feasible because our population itself is so volatile, and you've seen what has happened in the latest Gen Z demonstrations and all. How do you even think of doing something like this, and how are you going to control those young boys and girls who take law in their own hand, and those poor salesmen on the petrol pumps? They'll get beaten up, and for whatever it's worth. So I don't think it's feasible, but although it's a good idea.
And why I'm saying that is because, sir, and I agree where you're coming from, then that becomes a problem of enforcement. If we're not able to rein in the people who actually have to follow the rules, let alone follow the guidelines and the guidance of the Honorable Supreme Court, that's a completely different thing, how we implement what is being asked to implement. But isn't it a good thing for all those young ones that you just cited, sitting behind those driver wheels? Let's say they meet an accident and then the victims are running helter-skelter, running from pillar to post just for some kind of, conveyance fee, some kind of, money that is to be meted out to them.
Now, insurance is a must. There is no doubt about it. And it should come naturally to everybody. But it's unfortunately, most of our two-wheeler users, they try to avoid and not buy the insurance for whatever reason they have. But insurance is something which is a must for all, irrespective of what they are driving, two-wheelers, four-wheelers, three-wheelers, anything. That's a must. There is no doubt about that.
Okay. So good idea, but is it feasible or not? That's the opening submission coming from Mr. Dhawan. Mr. Kulshrestha, I'll come to you next. The Supreme Court says 56% of the vehicles are uninsured. That's a whopping number, by the way. I mean, 16 point something crore numbers, and that number could be up as well. Those are the official data cited by the parliamentary committee. The numbers could have gone up as well. Is this lack of insurance out there on our roads primarily an enforcement failure, or has motor insurance become too expensive? It has become too complicated for the motorists out there to buy and purchase?
Kabir, it's very simple. It's already mandatory as per our law. Because if police is asking some document, then this is a insurance document, PUC documents, license, RC, this all are mandatory. So it's nothing new into this, only the matter of the poor enforcement and poor political will. To be very frank, and this is a very funny idea, because for last so many years, Already there are number of drives, no helmet, no fuel. And what has happened to that drive?
That's
the
right.
similar drive is like this, because in 80% of the cities in India, we don't have any enforcement agency who's enforcing anything, traffic police and all. So where it will be implemented and why it will be implemented? So it's this is a funny type of judgment or the idea which has been for the pilot project.
Okay. I have two questions for you, Mr. Kulshrestha. You're right. It's not
Yes.
something that's new. And you gave us the right example, no helmet, no fuel, but how often do we see that actually happening? You look at the CNG pumps, you have to have a valid certification to get that gas, but you know how many times you get away with it. You get your gas casket filled up with CNG, even though you don't have that, the actual certificate. The point that I'm trying to get at is that the Honorable Supreme Court is saying, let's try a pilot project. What's wrong with trying a pilot project here? And Delhi could be setting the blueprint for the rest of the nation.
It's like just here I'm giving an example. Suppose in a combined family, it's a common law. Drink is not allowed in this family. And then we are enforcing for 4 or 5 children. Okay, start enforcement on these 4 or 5 persons only. Why? It's a common policy in a family. If you have not to drink in the family, if any family member will not drink. It means it's very simple. It is mandatory already. Why there is a pilot project for like 1 city or 2 cities or 3 cities? If you are implementing in a city like Delhi.
Because of the technology here, sir, because of the technology. Maybe, you have the handheld devices for all the cops. There is e-challan set up and an infrastructure that can carry that out. You have those cameras that can look at the verification and the registration numbers of, the plates of the cars, and then they can clearly identify who is paid for their insurance, who has renewed their insurance, and who hasn't.
Sir, we have the data of every vehicle registered with our agencies. Number 2, we have the data from the insurance company which has been registered or not, or which has insured or not. Why don't you take the action directly? Why are we waiting for all these things? We do have data. There's no need of any further technology. It's just a passing of the time. Insurance company data plus registered vehicle data. It's very simple. These are unregistered and these are not insured. And take the action immediately on these vehicles. Ultimately, enforcement agency has to come forward to take any type of implementation or this drive. This is a very simple case. In that case, also enforcement agencies has to come forward. And in the previous case, also, if you have the data from the insurance company, if you have the data from our registered agencies, club that data and you'll come to know that these are the filtered vehicles which are not insured, and take the action against that.
But data versus real-time compliance, data versus what's happening real-time right in front of you, I think something's got to give. Mr. Dhawan, you see, initially you said that it's a nice idea, doesn't seem feasible, but Mr. Kulshrestha here, he says that there is not a lot of merit in what the Honorable Supreme Court has said, and it's quote-unquote funny as well. I mean, how can you expect our fuel pumps to become checkpoints and places where checkups are going to be done?
No, that's a fact. I mean, how do you expect a petrol pump owner or a salesman to become an authority of judgment where who to give fuel and who not to give fuel? It's all for the enforcement agencies to be able to follow up these people who are not getting their vehicles insured. And our enforcement agencies also, they have double standards, whether they want to do it or they don't. You see those cops standing on the road, they don't care. They don't stop anybody from crossing the red light or crossing even the zebra line. So the point is, I mean, our system is lopsided. Our agencies, they go and put no parking boards on places where it is not even valid, and they make a joke of it. That is the reason why most of our public does not care about, rules and regulations, what are written on the signboards and what not.
Okay. I mean, clearly there is administrative apathy, but there is public apathy also, sir. I mean, the system is lopsided, but let's not make any bones about it. We are the system ourselves. It's us. And it's time that we introspect. And I understand how much is the public and the common man out there going to do themselves. We're a very large country. We have too many cars on the roads, but something has to give way. If I look at the insurance aspect of this all, will linking insurance to fuel finally force renewals, or do you think it's going to create more resentment? Because it's better than standing on the station. At least the train is moving somewhere. At least we're trying to do something about it, aren't we, Mr. Dhawan?
Listen, this is definitely a doable thing, but I don't think it's practical. And and for whatever reason, like our panel said, no helmet, no fuel. How is this going to happen? If that has not happened, how is this going to happen? So it's not so easy. Yes, as far as discipline is concerned, we Indians are indisciplined. Whether we are educated or not, we are all in the same boat. There are very few, handful of us who really follow the discipline or who follow the rules. Otherwise, 90% of road users, they don't care. They don't care a damn. And they don't care about traffic rules, or they don't care about, headlights being lowered or stoplights and things like that.
I understand that there is
it's got to come from within you.
A sense of...
You have to have a generation which has got to change the discipline. And you can't change midway. You have to start, right from KG onward to try and teach the children, what discipline is all about. Look at those Japanese young little children who wash their own plates after going to school in KG. They lay their own table, they lay their own table sheet.
I don't disagree with you here, sir, at all. Because you see, you're also comparing chalk and cheese. We do want to go there, but look at the population size of what Japan has and what we have right now. And today, we're talking about this visual of, schoolgirls and schoolboys skipping through a dam in Madhya Pradesh's Vidisha just to get to school. So we've all seen those visuals. I don't think it's right here to compare us with Japan all the time or with the Western nations.
Not,
I do agree with your point, sir. I absolutely agree with your point. But I'm just trying to understand. Okay, fine. The pilot project is a good idea. Whether it's feasible or not is another thing altogether. Mr. Kulshresh, you earlier said it's a little funny. This won't happen. We have the data. Enforcement is a problem. I mean, realistically, how many traffic cops and traffic officials do we have there out on the roads? If you have a bottleneck, in a particular area, the traffic cop police is doomed. There is no way he's even thinking about stopping somebody for not wearing a seat belt. He's probably more worried about making sure that everybody passes through this bottleneck and there is not a kilometer-long traffic jam. So there is enforcement problem. There is a dearth of officers out there also. People can, make this debate about how many vacancies do we have in the traffic department or not. But there is some sort of responsibility that lies on us as, citizens of this country, as people who ply their own cars out there. And insurance is one particular aspect to look at. The court also today was talking about whether to give the reimbursement or the amount of money that was meted out to a particular family or not. And all of this was obiter dicta. Now, whether the IRDA comes up with a pilot project, whether the Delhi government comes up with a pilot project is completely secondary. I'm thinking, is affordability the real problem here? Is it awareness? Is it enforcement? Because third-party insurance is also equally important. And if I were to ask you, Mr. Kulshresh, that we have this suggestion coming from the Honorable Supreme Court, if you would want to tweak this a little bit, कि ऐसा नहीं है, ऐसा करके देखते हैं. Let's try that. Would you have some suggestions to put on the table?
Yes, of course. Like IRDA has been instructed for this to do some to start some framework and all. Yes, IRDA may instruct all insurance company to provide the data, the live data, to this enforcement agency as well as the registering agency, this RTO and all. This is simply a compensation type of model. If we do have the data from the insurance company, because if you remember, whenever your vehicle insurance is coming to an end, we are receiving thousands of calls from every insurance company. System is there, already system is there. We have to just fix the system, what to do and how to do. Why there is a need of the pilot project? We do have the data, take the action. Because ultimately in case of pilot project also, you have to take the action through enforcement agency. So Because whatever the system we have in 80%, we don't have the enforcement system.
Again, sir,
So
my apologies for interjecting here. You're right. We have the data. And maybe I'm asking stupid questions here. You can shoot them down if you think I'm not asking the right questions here. I'm just trying to understand. You have the data. The moment you get closer to the end date, to the culmination date of your insurance, you start getting messages. That's right. But cold calling versus actual discipline deterrent are completely two different things. I know that, when you're on the outskirts of the national capital, you're probably driving well beyond the speed limit. But the minute you enter Lutyens Delhi, the minute you enter central Delhi, something inside you just completely changes. Now you're aware of the cameras that are watching you. You're probably not even going beyond 50 kilometers per hour. There is some sort of discipline. There is some sort of deterrent. And some of that has happened because of e-challan services. You just get a message on your mobile phone that, hey, look, this challan has been cut. You've got a receipt. Now, whether you go to the Janta Adalat, the Lok Adalat, or you pay up this, cough up this money, that's up to you. But the challan has been cut in real time on your phone thanks to great, digital technology. So, discipline versus, of course, the enforcement that you're talking about. So, discipline and deterrence comes with a certain way. And I think with this pilot project, maybe the idea is to constitute a committee, constitute the right people who can come and talk about it. वो भी शायद यही बात करेंगे कि, can you really deny fuel for something that is unrelated to petrol altogether? But at least they will come on the board and they will start talking about it, that we need real-time enforcement of this.
That's very true. That's why I'm saying, if we have the data, why don't we start with the Pondicherry, with a small city, with the same data, with the same technology, or with the same system? Why there's a need of an extra system, put it on a previous system again, and then we will enjoy the failure of that system? Why? We already have one system. This is basically the dilution of the something from one point to another point. Iski topi uske sar par, and next fir iski topi uske sar par. We are just focusing on first, second, third, fourth formula. It's a very simple formula. We have the data. Start the project with one city, with the same data, with the same enforcement agency.
Okay.
Ultimately,
that's a credible point. That's a credible point. I'll take that point. How about we start with a smaller area? How about we start with a smaller union territory, maybe Puducherry, maybe Chandigarh? You have different areas where you can actually implement something like this. I have my own reservations on that point as well, because we have a system and a place and a setup right here. Maybe it's going to be easier for us to change the modality of the technology and start implementing this. But I'm coming to you, Mr. Dhawan. Do you think that the ANPR cameras, the high technology, could transform road safety enforcement when it comes to insurance, when it comes to violators? Do you think the technology can play its own part, and Delhi is the right place to do that?
Well, the technology is already there. But it's just a question of implementation and who has the gumption of doing it. And if you are getting e-challans, you could be getting challans for your non-compliance of insurance as well. So I don't see any reason why it can't be implemented. And it has to be done seriously. Certain things have to be done seriously. Unfortunately, our enforcement agencies don't take this job very seriously. That's the reason why everybody, is lackadaisical about listening to law and listening to, rules and regulations.
Yeah. Okay. I understand. Mr. Kultresh, my final question to you here is that, you're absolutely right. Both the panelists are absolutely right. Something needs to be done. Whether this is the right step or not, and how we're going to be taking the right step or not, these are two absolutely different discussions. I think the ball is in the court of now the IRDA and the government, and what the Ministry of Transport, Roads and Highways is now going to do in terms of establishing that framework. But the amount of people that get killed on the roads, the amount of people that are plying their vehicles without an insurance, what do you have to say here, Mr. Kulshrestha? Is this a landmark reform, or is this becoming governance that's becoming increasingly intrusive? Is the first step making sure that our technological setup is completely digitized? Is this about improving safety or adding another hassle? The final closing segment here, because technology does make life easier, but over here in this particular case, you're saying that's not going to be, in the same tone and tenor.
Kabirji, pilot projects or the symbolic drives never gives us any success in case of especially the road safety.
Okay.
For last so many years, number of drives, number of like instructions, number of everything is there. To be very frank, I'm just giving one example. Every woman in Delhi is wearing the substandard or fake helmet. Is it not visible to the Delhi police? Is it not visible to our traffic police? Is it not visible to our ministry?
Yeah.
Every lady, 100%. They are flying on our roads with topi type of helmet. Every lady. Who is taking the action?
Sometimes kids right there on the fuel tank of the two-wheelers without any helmet. You're right.
Simple. When system fails, then we divert the responsibility on the public. This is the same move. We are diverting the responsibility on the petrol pump owners. Already they have beaten number of times during this drive. No helmet, no fuel. They have been abused number of times. What is the sense of responsibility and the sense of security for them? Where is? Ultimately, enforcement agency has to come forward with the proper drives, with proper checkup, and with proper data compliances. These are the IRDA who can provide this data immediately.
So what you're essentially saying is that
they do have.
This is a blame game that's going on. This is a diversionary tactic that's going on, maybe inadvertently, maybe unintentionally. Because if somebody wanted to do something about this, the data already exists out there. You don't need to stop somebody's fuel for that particular front. Now, I think that the Supreme Court has started a conversation. It's great that the both of you took out time and spoke to us here. Many thanks, Mr. Dhawan. Many thanks, Mr. Kulshresht, for speaking to us here on News 9, for taking out the time, because this is a conversation that the Honorable Supreme Court has started, and a conversation that goes far beyond just pure insurance. The real question is now whether can stricter compliance make our roads safer without making everyday life more difficult for honest motorists out there. And I think that's the balance that India now needs to strike. Let's hope that good sense prevails. The conversation has begun. Let's see what happens with the framework. Time for us to slip into a quick commercial breather here. But your other in your interest story about UPI payments coming right on the other side. We've got two very credible voices. Don't go anywhere.
Dear Bestie, how can I thank you? They say the truest friendships cannot be manufactured. They simply unfold naturally. How true that is for us. Bestie. Love from Bestie Collection. Natural diamond bracelets for you and your bestie.
Bine